Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, I've got a question for you. What would you do if you discovered that the person you've trusted for decades was secretly planning your downfall? Drop your answers in the comments, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe so you never miss a story like this. All right, let's get into it. It was one of those crisp, late afternoon drives where you don't expect anything out of the ordinary. I was cutting across the east side of Milwaukee, passing the narrow tree-lined street where my son-in-law, Matt, lives. It wasn't planned, but I thought, why not swing by and check in? Then I saw it. Parked in the driveway, gleaming under the pale winter sun, was a black Infiniti coupe. My wife Elena's car, the one that should have been sitting in our garage, 700 miles away in suburban Atlanta. For a moment, I convinced myself there had to be an innocent reason. Maybe she'd flown in for a surprise visit to our daughter Mia. But the knot forming in my stomach told me something else. Something was off. I slowed my Honda to a crawl, my eyes fixed on that car. My mind began running through every possibility, but each scenario felt worse than the last. My pulse picked up. I decided not to pull right into the driveway. Instead, I rolled to a quiet stop half a block away, tucking my car behind a row of bare maples. I stepped out and listened. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed, but closer. Through the partly open front window, I caught the faint rise and fall of voices. I crept forward, my shoes crunching on patches of frozen leaves until I was just beneath the sill. That's when I heard it.
When the old man finally signs the papers, everything falls into place.
Elena's voice. Software measured, like she was talking about the weather, not dismantling my life. The sound hit me like a slow-acting poison, seeping through my veins. Less than half an hour earlier, I had called Mia to see if she wanted to grab dinner. She'd been cheerful, even apologetic. Sorry, Dad, I'm not home. But Matt's there, catching up on case files. No hint of anything unusual. And yet here was Elena's car, bold as you please, glinting in Matt's driveway. I edged closer, careful to stay out of sight, my heart hammering so loudly I was afraid they'd hear it. Through a small gap in the curtains, I could see them clearly. Elena was stretched out on Mia's couch, like she owned the place. Matt stood near the bookcase, hands in his pockets, a smug little half-smile on his face.
The timing's perfect.
Matt was saying, his voice low but distinct.
File in June. Claim irreconcilable differences. Under the new state statutes, Elena's entitled to half of everything acquired during the marriage, plus spousal support.
Elena laughed, a sound that years ago could light up my entire day. Now it felt like glass splintering in my chest.
Your construction business alone is worth $12 million.
She said casually.
Add the rental houses, the lake investments, we're looking at nearly $20 million.
I reached for my phone without thinking and hit record. Matt leaned in, his tone sharpening.
He practically handed us the keys to his kingdom.
Elena glanced down at her manicured nails.
2 years of playing the devoted wife, pretending to care about his endless work stories, nodding at the stress over payroll. The man actually believes I love him.
That one sentence, it didn't just hurt. It hollowed me out. Just then, a brittle twig cracked under my foot. Both of them stopped mid-sentence. Elena's head turned toward the window, her brow furrowing.
Did you hear that?
She whispered. Matt waved it off.
Probably the neighbor's cat. You're getting paranoid.
Can you blame me?
Elena shot back.
If Clarence finds out before we're ready.
He won't.
Matt interrupted.
He wouldn't recognize the setup if it wore neon lights. By September, you'll be divorced, wealthy, and free to do whatever you want.
I stayed frozen in place, every muscle locked, my phone still recording every poisonous word. 15 minutes later, my reality had shifted into something unrecognizable. 25 years of marriage, stripped bare as nothing more than a calculated strategy session between my wife and the man I had welcomed into my family. On the coffee table sat a thick manila folder. Months of planning, documentation, preparation, all while I had been building what I thought was our future. I eased back toward my car, trying to quiet my breathing. I slid into the driver's seat just as the front door opened. Elena stepped out first, her designer handbag swinging from her arm. Matt followed, straightening his tie like he was walking into a courtroom. Neither of them expected to see me parked there. Elena's eyes widened.
Clarence! Why, what are you doing here?
I forced a smile I didn't feel. Just finished a site inspection nearby. Thought I'd stop in and see Mia. Matt's gaze darted to Elena before settling back on me. Elena spoke quickly.
She's not home. We were just, sorting some paperwork for Matt.
I tilted my head slightly. Oh? I thought you'd be at work until 6. Didn't you have that big client meeting this morning? A flicker of panic crossed her face before she smoothed it over.
I left early. Headache.
Sorry to hear that. I turned to Matt. Working on anything interesting?
Asset division.
He answered automatically, then hesitated, realizing what he'd just revealed.
For a divorce client. Complex case.
The irony nearly made me laugh. They watched me closely, but I kept my tone light. Well, I won't keep you. I should get home. Dinner won't cook itself. Elena's laugh was too quick, too forced. I'll be along soon. As I started my engine, I glanced back once more. Through the rearview mirror, I caught them leaning together, whispering urgently. They didn't know about the recording. Not yet. Driving home, I passed the fountain Elena had insisted on for our 20th anniversary. The gardens she'd had someone else maintain. Every familiar detail of the house we'd built together now felt hollow. Inside, I lingered by the wedding photo on the mantel. December 15th, 1996. Her smile back then had seemed so real. But that was before I understood the difference between love and performance. And that night, as I sat in the dark, phone in my hand, I realized if they wanted to play a game, I was about to change the rules. I didn't sleep much that night. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, almost accusatory. Every creak in the walls, every sigh of the furnace, reminded me that I'd built this place with my own 2 hands. And now, the person I built it for was plotting to take it apart, brick by brick. I sat in my old leather recliner. Elena always hated that chair, called it ugly and dated. But to me, it was a reminder of the early years. Back when we had nothing but each other, and I'd come home from long days on the job, covered in sawdust, to find her waiting with a smile and 2 bowls of spaghetti. That was before the ambition in her eyes turned into something else. I pulled the wedding photo from the mantel and studied it. December, 1996. Elena in ivory satin, me in a rented tux. I was 37, finally turning a profit in my construction business. She was 22, working as a secretary downtown. We met at her office's Christmas party. She'd laughed at some bad joke I made about concrete mixers, and that laugh, sweet, unguarded, hooked me instantly. 6 months later, I proposed over dinner at a little southern kitchen diner. She said yes, without hesitation. We built a life, or at least I thought we did. Now, replaying that conversation in Matt's living room, it was clear. Somewhere along the way, we had become her. By morning, the fog of shock had burned off, replaced by something cold and precise. If Elena wanted a game, she was about to discover I'd been playing my own version for years. I pulled out my laptop and a thick binder labeled Asset Protection. Confidential. A few years back, my accountant and close friend, Samuel Green, had suggested setting up safeguards, trusts, offshore accounts, all perfectly legal, just in case. I'd never told Elena about them. She thought everything we had was sitting in joint accounts, easy to split. I called Samuel. He picked up on the second ring. "Clarence, it's early. What's going on?" "I need everything locked down," I said. "Business accounts, trusts, no personal legal action should be able to touch them." He paused. "Something happen?" I thought about telling him, but I wasn't ready to say it out loud. "Just do it. Quietly. Consider it done." By lunchtime, I was in my home office, surrounded by stacks of legal pads and open files. I started mapping everything: assets, liabilities, weak points. If Eleanor and Matt thought they knew my finances, I'd make sure they realized, too late, that they'd been playing with a fake map. Then I spotted something interesting in Elena's credit card statements. Over $48,000 transferred in the past 6 months to an account I didn't recognize. The listed beneficiary? Matthew Torres, my son-in-law. I stared at the numbers, my jaw tightening. They'd started funneling money together before this so-called divorce plan even began. Spa trips, client lunches at expensive clubs, designer handbags. And it wasn't just Elena. A couple of calls to my contacts in the construction industry painted an ugly picture of Matt. He was a lawyer, sure, but one drowning in debt. Late payments to subcontractors, bounce checks, even 2 complaints with the state bar for mishandling client funds. They'd been dismissed, but that kind of stain never really goes away. They weren't just greedy, they were desperate. That evening, my daughter Mia called. "Dad, is everything okay with you and Mom?" My stomach tightened. "Why do you ask?" "She's been weird lately, keeps bringing up money. And Matt keeps asking these random questions about your company, stuff about who owns what. It's like they're fishing." I forced a chuckle. "Probably just curiosity. You know your mom always wants to know everything about security." Silence on the line. "If something was wrong, you'd tell me, right?" I hesitated. "Of course." We hung up, but her words lingered. If Mia had picked up on their behavior without knowing the truth, it meant Elena and Matt were getting sloppy. That was good for me and bad for them. The next morning, I drove to First National Bank and sat down with John Franklin, the branch president and an old friend. "I need all joint accounts reviewed," I told him. "Freeze them, temporarily." His eyebrows went up. "May I ask why?" "Not today, John. Just trust me." The freezes went into effect immediately. I didn't have to wait long for fallout. At 1:14 p.m., my phone rang. Elena's name lit up the screen. "Clarence?" Her voice was tight with panic. "My card just got declined at lunch. They said our accounts are frozen. Do you know anything about this?" I kept my tone calm, almost bored. "Sounds serious. Did they say what caused it?" "They said they need identity verification." I was humiliated. "I was with Sharon and Denise." I cut her off gently. "I'll check with the bank." I didn't. By late afternoon, the texts were coming rapid fire. "What's going on? This is ridiculous. We need to talk." And then, at 4:47, my investigator called. "Matt tried to access the joint account he has with your wife. No luck. Then he tried to dip into a trust account for Mia's education. That's locked too. He's furious. I sat back in my chair, letting the satisfaction settle in. For the first time since yesterday, I felt steady. That night, my investigator parked across from Matt's townhouse. Through the slightly open living room window, he caught everything. Elena saying, "Clarence knows something. He's cutting us off." I couldn't even buy gas. I could almost see Matt's face tightening. "This isn't coincidence," he told her. "He might have recorded us." How much could he have heard? "Enough," Elena admitted. They agreed to accelerate the timeline. Matt suggested claiming financial abuse.
We can use the frozen accounts as evidence.
He said. I let out a low laugh in my empty kitchen. They were going to try to paint me, the man who had provided them with everything, as controlling and unstable. Let them try. And as I sat there, staring out into the cold Milwaukee night, one thing became crystal clear. They thought they were closing in on checkmate. They didn't know I'd been setting my own traps. And their first misstep was already behind them. The next move would be mine. Saturday morning arrived cold and grey, but I felt sharper than I had in days. The kind of sharp you get when there's no more doubt left, just purpose. My first call was to an old industry friend, Andre Martin. He owed me a favor. "Clarence," he said, "you're not going to believe this. I've been hearing Matt's name around. Bad stuff. There's a quiet investigation going on with the state bar. Something about mishandled trust accounts." I let a smile creep in. Think the people involved would talk? For you? Absolutely. By noon, I'd spoken to 3 contractors who'd been burned by Matt. 2 still had unpaid invoices. 1 had emails showing Matt stalling payments while using their money to cover personal expenses. Every detail went into a file. Meanwhile, Elena had been working her own angle. She invited Mia to breakfast at Cafe Magnolia, their special spot. My investigator had a table in the corner, close enough to catch the conversation. Elena's voice was soft, wounded.
Mia, I don't know what's happened to your father. He's cut me off, frozen the accounts. I can't even buy groceries. He's controlling.
Mia sipped her coffee and didn't react. Are you asking for advice, Mom? Or for me to take your side? There was a pause.
I just need you to understand what I'm dealing with.
But Mia wasn't buying it. If this is about Dad's business, I don't want to be involved. You should talk to a lawyer. Frustration leaked into Elena's voice, but she dropped it. That afternoon, I filed a formal complaint with the state bar against Matt. The evidence package was thick. Dates, amounts, witness names. I didn't even have to exaggerate. The truth was ugly enough. At 6:17 p.m., my investigator called again. Matt left his office with 3 boxes of files. Looked rattled, he went straight to Elena's. I imagined the 2 of them, surrounded by papers, voices low and urgent, probably trying to figure out how everything had gone wrong so quickly. By Sunday evening, Mia showed up at my house. She didn't bother knocking, just walked into my office, arms crossed. "Dad, Mom's been trying to get me to testify that you're abusive. She wants me to use my license to back her up." I leaned back, studying her. "And what did you say?" "That I won't be anyone's weapon." Her jaw tightened. "Show me the truth." I played the recording from Matt's living room. She listened without blinking. But when Elena's voice said, "The man actually believes I love him," something in Mia's face hardened. "She's done," Mia said quietly, "and so is Matt." By Monday morning, the ripple effects had begun. The country club stopped returning Eleanor's calls. Charity committees she'd chaired for years suddenly had no openings. My own reputation, built over 35 years of honest work, stood untouched. Matt, on the other hand, was now officially under state bar review. And Elena, well, she was running out of moves. Monday morning, Elena's world began to crumble. Her friends at the country club stopped returning her calls. A few quiet conversations I'd had over the weekend were already bearing fruit. In the circles we moved in, reputation was currency, and hers was losing value fast. Matt's legal troubles hit the next day. The Bar Association demanded his financial records. By Wednesday, Elena's desperation had reached a fever pitch. "We have to file for domestic violence," she told Matt, her voice sharp with panic. "That's a felony if we can't prove it," he warned. "If Clarence has recordings, if we don't try, we lose everything," she snapped. They showed up in court Thursday morning, all fake concern and carefully rehearsed lines. Elena claimed financial abuse and intimidation. Judge Hendricks listened for a moment, then turned to my attorney, Donald Reeves. "Your Honor," Donald said, "we have audio evidence of my client's wife and her son-in-law plotting this entire strategy for months." The recording played, every venomous word echoing through the courtroom. Elena's face drained of color. Matt looked like a man watching his career implode in slow motion. The judge dismissed the restraining order with prejudice and referred both for perjury investigation. Elena's lawyer withdrew from the case on the spot. 2 weeks later, the divorce settlement was swift and brutal. A prenuptial agreement Elena had conveniently forgotten about limited her to a small payout. No spousal support, no access to my business assets. Matt lost his law license and left the state. Mia filed for divorce, citing betrayal and professional misconduct. She rebuilt her practice around helping others spot manipulation early. 6 months later, I passed Elena in a Milwaukee mall. She was working the cash register at a retail store, her expensive jewelry gone, her expression tired. She didn't see me. As for me, I rebuilt my construction company's reputation stronger than ever. Friends and clients rallied, bringing in more work than I'd seen in years. The house, my house, was finally quiet. Not empty, but peaceful. I've learned something in all of this. Love without honesty is just performance. Trust is fragile, and when it's broken, the pieces cut deep. But they can also teach you where not to step again. Now the only sound I need is the rain tapping against the windows I installed with my own hands. If you like this story, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss the next one.